G'day and welcome back to ZiggyD Trades. It's been a while since the last episode. Now that we're getting on in the league, I thought I would just do check-ins every now and then to show you guys some of the trades I've been making and what I've been doing to make money. And as you can see here, I am now broke. Well, not exactly broke, but I've spent a lot of my money, and you can see some of the things I've spent that on screen just here. Recently, at Series Disfavor, 11x or so, the Wretch, another 11x or so, and I also made a Hand of Wisdom and Action character, which I spent about 10 exalts on as well. So I ended up capping out, like the highest I reached was around 30 exalts with a bit extra in like random mixed currency like jewels, orbs, and stuff like that. But so we reached a pretty high total, and there was kind of this like mirror challenge thing that Ziz challenged me to. I was like, I could save up for a mirror. I'm like most of the way there. I'm like 75% of the way there, but I was like, I'd rather spend that money and make some interesting builds. So that's what I decided to do. So I spent my money. What good is money if you don't spend it? But we have made some interesting trades that I've just captured, you know, some of the more interesting ones over the past week or so that I'll run you guys through here, as well as in this episode talk about some of the other things you can do to start making money once you reach higher level content as well. So let's start off with that, actually. Some of the other things that you can sell that you may not be aware of. One such example of this is high item level gear. So once you start getting into tier 15 to 16 maps, you will start dropping item level 84 gear, which is the maximum item level that mods can roll, essentially. So these item level 84 pieces of gear can roll some of the highest affixes in the game. And these can be worth money by themselves, right? Like early on in the league, you can actually get like 5 chaos or something for an item level 4 white, item level 84 white hubris circlet, right? So this is just a bunch of hubris circlets. Whenever I'm running these maps, most good loot filters should highlight them. Mine does. Just hubris circlets and other high-end bases of each armor type, essentially. So like Eternal Bourgeonet and things like that. But hubris circlets are a top seller, so I just pick those up and sell each white one for 1C at this point. Even like several weeks into the league, people are still buying these for 1 chaos. And the reason why is people buy these to craft with, obviously, but people also buy these to enchant if they're running Uber Labyrinth. So this guy who's buying 6 off me in one go, you know, I just picked these up in like two high-level maps, right? And you make some chaos back from them, and he was probably just using them to enchant. So that's one thing that you can do. And keeping an eye out for those high-level bases and making sure they're highlighted in your loot filter is a good way to make a bit of extra money. So things like Var Regalias, for example, Energy Shield chests, each of the helmets in each armor type can sell, though Hubris Circlet is the most popular. Things like Sorcerer Gloves, Energy Shield gear in particular is quite profitable and popular these days. That's the other P word I'm looking for there. The other thing is selling maps. Once you get a decent map pool going, which I have been doing, as you can see, these are all tier 14s here, and I've been rocking some tier 15s and tier 16s, and my map pool's been quite juicy. This is actually, all these spaces here are maps that I've like gone ahead and sold, because I have so many tier 11 through tier 13 maps, and I got a lot of these from running Chayula. So my Chayula farming has proven to be very profitable in terms of map drops, because I just get a huge amount of maps. You get like 5-6 maps each time you run that, and that just kind of kept adding together to the point where I just had a very healthy map pool, and now I can basically just run my tier 14s to tier 16s and just sell most of my excess tier 11 through tier 13s, and I've been making some decent money doing that. So for example, Vault map here I've been selling for 3 chaos each, and this guy bought a bunch of them because he really likes running Vault maps. There's some cool like treasure piles and stuff at the end of it, I guess, and sometimes people will run these things for divination cards too. Waterways is a popular map. This is a good example of it. If you have a popular map and you have an excess of it, then it might not be a bad idea to sell it, especially if you don't like running the map. I actually hate running waterways. There's too much backtracking on it. You like run down each line and then you have to run all the way back. It's really annoying to clear. I don't know why it's so popular, but they're really popular, so they sell for 5C. So whenever I keep a few in my stash for when I like level my next character, but I mean, you don't really need like more than 5 to 10. So if you have more than that, I'm just selling my excess, right? So you know, whenever you have an excess of maps, you can potentially sell those and use that currency to buy higher level maps or to buy other gear or other things that you want to do. And I've just been, you know, alking and running my maps for the most part, using some cartographer sections and stuff on my tier 15s and 16s, and doing pretty well on that, making some decent money. I've sold probably like 10 waterways maps, so that's most of an exalt there. And here's another example here. If you roll a map that is really good, but you can't run it, so in this case, Elemental Reflect, both my Flame Blaster and my Hand of Wisdom in Action, Died Elemental Reflect maps. So this is a great map, 43 pack size, 120 quality, juicy. I'm not going to re-roll over that. You can actually usually sell these for about the price, the base price of that map, so about the base price of a maze map, or sometimes slightly more if it's a bit better, so like 1C more or something like that. So basically, I just I sold this and could have essentially used that money to buy another one instead, because it seems like a crime to re-roll over something that gorgeous. So that's some examples. Selling maps and selling high item level bases are some good ways to make currency, as well as selling things like divination cards too. I actually ran a heap of scriptoriums and were getting things like these cards. I've found 2 of these this league. Scriptorium is a map I really like to run. I think it's tier 13, and it has the Chavron of Umbra boss at the end. And she drops the Aesthete, which I like to turn in myself, and these 1/8 of Chavron Wrappings cards, which obviously sell for a decent chunk of cash, 41 chaos each. So, you know, picking maps that you like to run that also have potential good divination cards and selling those as you go as well will do a long way towards, you know, funding your profitability in maps, which is, you know, which is a priority. So let's go through some other stuff here. This is just some random stuff. This is a 5-link Varagali that I bought for my Hand of Wisdom in Action character before I bought my 6-link. I bought it white, probably like 5 to 7 chaos, I think. And then I spent about a couple chaos rolling it. So I basically altered this until I landed tier 1 flat energy shield and a good intelligence roll. And then I regaled it. Unfortunately, I got life regen, and then I mastercrafted energy shield, and that sold for 10 chaos, right? So that's like basically the worst you can do, and it sold for 10 chaos. But if I had regaled like percentage energy shield or something, then it would be worth quite a bit more than that, right? Potentially upwards of like an exalt or more. So that's you know, it's a decent way of kind of doing this like stepping stone, right? Like cheap 5-link white, craft it cheaply, resell it for like a slight profit or make your money back, and then move on to a 6-link, which was the process I took. You know that Skin of the Lords I found way back in the day? Well, I finally sold it. I ended up selling for only 4x, so I lost money on that because I used the offering on it. Just the Ghost Reaver thing was too niche, but I still ended up getting 4 exalts on it, so I was still pretty happy with that. A decent amount of money. Here's a pair of gloves that I bought for 1C and resold for 5C. Just int ES gloves with a decent amount of ES and some resistances, along with a little bit of bonus physical damage. Can't complain. But even just the intelligence with decent ES and cold reds is an easy 5C. Like, basically anything with like 140 plus energy shield, and especially if it's got some resist or an int on it, is going to be worth more than 5 chaos. 5 chaos at least, right? So if I was seeing gloves that were coming up that were under 5C, then I was like, well, this is definitely underpriced, because there's enough demand for this style of glove that they're always going to be worth at least 5 chaos, if not more. So that was a pretty easy one here. Here were some gloves that I've been watching the glove market quite a bit for my Hand of Wisdom action character. I found these Intelligence Accuracy Resist 169, and I bought these for 5C, and I was like, oh, this is like baseline price for something that doesn't have accuracy and cold resist. And so I ended up reselling those for 15 chaos not long after. So that was a pretty good tidy 10C profit right there. Okay, so that's some of the random stuff. Now I want to go over some jewels and jewelry, because I've sold a lot of this. This has been some of like my most consistent income has been jewels and jewelry. Here is a jewel I bought for 3 chaos for Hand and Wisdom in Action. Claw attack speed, one-handed attack speed, all attributes and projectile speed for Spectral Throw. Very nice purchase for 3C. Probably worth more around the like 10C mark, I reckon. But that was one that I bought for myself. Here is a jewel I sold for 4C too quickly. Life, cold resist, damage with bows. I'm like, life and damage with bows. I'm like, yeah, I guess 4C. But I guess I underrated this one. It sold really quickly. Maybe could have gotten like 7 to 10 chaos for this. Just because, you know, life fizz damage with bows is like most bow builds. And then cold resist is kind of a bit of a problem solver for like bad gearing. So yeah, I don't know. Like 4C still seems appropriate, but it is probably worth a bit more than that because of how quickly it sold. Here's a 5C bow jewel. Damage, chaos damage, attack speed with bows. So this one here actually works quite nicely with Caustic Arrow, as well as with things like assassin bow poison builds as well. So But pretty tidy jewel. I actually think that might be worth more than 5C too. I think I undersold this one looking at it now. Attack speed's not not a necessary stat for Causticaro, but it's a nice quality of life one. Causticaro is not very popular, so if this was bought for Causticaro, 5C might be appropriate, but this might even be a bit better for like a bow poison build or something. But the chaos damage doesn't like, it would only scale the poison in that situation, so it's like a 2.5 stat, I guess. That might be why I ended up selling it for 5 chaos. Here's an 8 chaos spectral throw jewel that I sold for 8C. Is this the one that I bought earlier? So it is. So I must have ended up using a different jewel because I needed like resist or something like that, or mana gain on hit or something. So yeah, that jewel I bought for 3 chaos earlier ended up selling for 8 chaos. So what did I say? Worth about 7 to 10? I was pretty accurate there. I promise I didn't look ahead. I'm not cheating. Some of these ones, because they've been I bought these like 5 days ago. You know, I've forgotten all about them. Here's a jewel I sold for 9 chaos that I feel like was pretty appropriately priced. This is a nice trap jewel. So we have spell damage, area damage, and trap damage. Basically all trap builds. Well, there's some projectile trap builds, but mostly they're throwing out things like ice traps or frost traps or whatever it's called, and frost bomb traps and things like that that have an AoE. So the area damage, spell damage, they're all spells, and trap damage. Very nice 3-stat jewel. Might even be worth a little more than 9C, but 9C was still a good sale. 13C bow jewel here, moving up in the profitability a little bit here. We've got, so this one I knew, like, this is a solid 3-stat right here. We've got fizz damage, we've got a good life roll at 7%, and attack speed as well. So that's a very nice bow jewel, and any bow character would be pretty happy with that, right? Any fizz bow character. So that's going to be pretty popular with your Reach of the Council builds and so on and so forth, so that one definitely sold for some good money. What I've been doing is, whenever I have a good amount of Viridian jewels, I've been, any bad ones, I scour and then alch them, and if they roll something good, then I sell them, and if they roll badly, I've been vialing them, and I actually got 2 Sacrificial Harvests this way, and here's one of them that I sold for 43 chaos. So even though I've been vialing a lot of Viridian jewels, and each vial is, you know, about a chaos-ish, I've still overall, like, I haven't spent 43 vials. I've still made good profit on vialing Viridian jewels. And sometimes I've been getting, like, interesting implicits on them as well, which have been selling for a little bit more. So I've been doing pretty good profitability on this, like, scour, alch, vial, Viridian jewel method. And the reason for that is because Sacrificial Harvest is used for, like, vial spark builds. And it only rolls if you vial a Viridian jewel. It's the only way of getting it. So I've been producing those as I go, you know, as like a next step in my jewel crafting process, and that's been proving to be pretty good. So maybe something to consider trying if you have a few extra spare vials, right? I very rarely have spare vials. I actually had been buying some because I use them so much. Here is a amulet that I bought for 5 chaos. We have high dexterity, high intelligence, high total intelligence when you add it together, with lightning damage and energy shield. Now there's spell damage here, but we can just ignore that just here because this is actually just these stats here. It's actually a very nice Hand of Wisdom in Action amulet. And I wanted to highlight this one just because this was like an example of looking for alternatives to uniques. Everyone who's playing Hand of Wisdom Action is like, Astromentus is best in slot because you get 130 intelligence. But this is like 70 intelligence with 40 dex, and then the difference in intelligence is made up for, and then some, with the added lightning and the energy shield. Not to mention that I was able to mastercraft cold resist that I needed on this. So for 5 chaos, I got an amulet that's about as good as like a 1 Exalt Astromentus. So something to keep your mind open. Sometimes a rare can do the same job that a unique can do. So keep your mind open to that because you could be able to get something better for the same price or cheaper that is just as good, like in this case. Here is a amulet that I bought for 20 chaos. I don't know why I highlighted this one. Maybe I ended up reselling it, but it's another Hand of Wisdom in Action amulet with pretty high total intelligence once you add all these up, with the added lightning, some resists, and flat energy shield that I was able to mastercraft. Maybe we'll see if I end up reselling that. Here's a decent amulet sale, 1 Exalt, solid. We have percentage energy shield with flat energy shield, that juicy combo, beautiful. Flat energy shield could certainly be higher, but it's got a perfect 20% maximum energy shield. It's got a high accuracy roll, so I crafted fizz damage on it because of the pairing there. So we're looking at, you know, your fizz attack energy shield builds, of which there are quite a decent amount, and then 2 decent resistances too. This is such a nice amulet, so I knew straight away. I think I ended up pricing this one at like 1.5x and then waiting a while and dropping the price down to 1x and selling it. So pretty solid 1 Exalt amulet. Just think that in order to craft, to take something like this with accuracy, ES, maybe a bit better resist and fizz damage, in order to put the 20% or potentially 20% energy shit on them, they would need to spend an Exalt to mastercraft that. So an Exalt for this is like kind of like the minimum essentially. But well, like, you know, that's like a way of being able to judge the value essentially. So pretty nice sale there. He's just a 5 Chaos Amulet. We just have high strength, dexterity, a good resist, and good fizz damage. I'm like, it's not a very clear amulet what this is for, but it's got high stats. I mean, and yeah. It's got like things like dexterity could be like a problem solving because I need more dexterity but I can't get any in my tree, that sort of thing. But and it's got the int. I mean, it's just got a high amount of main stats, and then just a good fizz and good lightning roll with an open affix. So I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll sell that for 5 cows. It's a bit of a weird one though. Here's a 10C breach ring that I sold. Quite simple, life with fizz damage. The life and fizz damage both double. The intelligence is kind of just a junk stat on this. But then 41 rarity as well. So this is for like an earthquake build or whatever attack build basically. Whatever life attack build that wants to run breaches and get some sick magic find while doing so, because that's 82 rarity whilst running breaches. So it's a breach lord farmer ring that I ended up selling for 10 cows, so a tidy profit right there. And I think I probably bought that for like a couple C earlier or something. Here is another rarity ring that I sold for 10 cows. This one doesn't have any damage stats on it, which is interesting, so I didn't quite expect to get the same amount for this one, but nonetheless I was still able to do so. It's got, as it's like bare minimums to make it useful, it's got fire resistance and energy shield. You might wonder how it's got 3 stats. It's because there's 2 rarity rolls that merge together. But 44 rarity, so again, that doubling of high rarity. So I've been making some money off those rarity rings. I was buying those for a little while and then reselling them a few days later and making some decent profits off those, so not too bad. Here's a regular 10 chaos ring, pretty self-explanatory. This is just a solid ring. We've got life, we've got a very large amount of total resistances with the ore resist, cold lightning, and then the fire implicit. Something like, just like, I'm not even gonna bother mathing it, but something like 100% resists on there. High mana roll doesn't really do much, but the added fire is a potential added value stat. But just at the base, it's life and very high resist with a damage stat that can be used for your like Oros builds or your Burning Arrow builds or your just regular elemental attack builds like Inquisitors or something like that. So that's a potentially value-added stat. Just life high res though was enough to make this a sellable ring. Here's a 14 chaos ring that I knew as soon as I found that. I was like, ooh, that's juicy, because this was juicy enough that I was willing to spend a couple blessed orbs rolling all resist on this, because I knew that would give me a really like nice, well-rounded high total resistance count. We got cold lightning, and rather than just putting fire on there, I thought I would add to this so that these would show up as like 40% plus cold and lightning rolls on searches. But the key of why this is valuable is high total resists with a decent life roll, and wed with crit in softcore. So DPS, plenty of DPS, and also plenty of survivability too. Just a very well-rounded, solid ring, 14 chaos for that one just there. This one was surprising, but I sold this for 16 chaos, and it's a mana regen amulet. There's not many people that make mana regen builds that rely heavily on mana regen, but I mean, looking at the other stuff, like it's got a decent amount of energy shield, and I thought, okay, so it's got a decent amount of energy shield and very high mana regen. Usually I would Val something like this, but because I'm like, okay, well, if anyone's going to be using mana regen, it's like a CI build or something. So, like a CI spellcaster might be relying on mana regen. That's like some of the few builds that will be. So I was like, okay, well, maybe this will sell. So rather than Valing it, I kept it, and it's got its 70-80% mana regen with decent energy shield and resist. So I'm like, okay, well, I mean, it's a pretty solid, well-rounded amulet. And if someone does want mana regen, this is probably one of the best ones they're going to find on the server. So, well, okay, there it is. And it's ended up selling for 16 chaos. So, you know, there are some people that use mana regen out there. Here's a 5C amulet that I sold, just life and resistances. Very simple, just an example of, you know, what you can get for life resistance, stuff like this, and, you know, decent tri-res, decent life, strength implicit for more life, the mana is meh, But yeah, 5 cows, not too bad. 7 cows breach ring, pretty simple. Life with fire damage is the key stats here. So your blast rains, sorry, your flame blasts and your firestorms and things like that. And then just a little bit of resist to make it wearable, essentially. So that covers it for today's rather long episode of ZiggyD Trades, covering about like a bit more than a week of trading. Obviously not recording everything, just some of the interesting ones that I'd like to highlight to you guys so you can continue to learn. Hopefully you found this interesting. If you would like to, if you have some suggestions or requests for trading topics that you'd like to see me talk about or make like ZiggyD trade videos on, or like more like focused guides, I'm very curious to hear them because I want to help you guys out and get you guys trading and involved in the game more deeply, because I think I started enjoying the game a lot more once I learned how to go about trading, and I actually started enjoying trading a lot as well. You know, trading doesn't have to be just a chore, it can actually be quite enjoyable. So let me know, guys, let me know. Anyway, that is it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thank you very much for watching.